Okay, hello everyone. I'm Dr. Niloofar Khameneh, and today I'm going to present a significant issue with you. My topic is balancing social interactions and the role of coworker time and network diversity in reducing loneliness. Okay, about myself, I born in Iran, graduated, and worked as a dentist in Iran. Now I'm Master's of Health Sciences student in SCFUM in Canada. I'm doctor, but many people may not see dentists as doctors, but I see myself as always a student because, yeah, I always want to learn more. As a healthcare provider, working at provided eye care for my patients in a small town I used to work, I gradually felt the need to make my part in health promotion of the society. I started designing a healthcare mobile application to engage my patients for their healthcare and their active health promotion. And the health education also was so important for me. So I finally brought about a healthy and educated individual through the society. It brought about my passion for studying health sciences, and I just followed my passion. And then now I'm a student in SFU studying health sciences. And in SFU, I just found that I'm too much interested into social health and how can I help people with their social health. My supervisor, years after Kiprafar, he taught me many things. Up to now, my learnings learned again that she learning. Here's the table of contents here. I'm going to talk about, as you can see, at first I'm going to introduce the important topic to you. Of course, it is important to me, but it is important to everyone. What is loneliness? Loneliness, is an emotional experience for the times when there's a gap, between what we have in social connections and what is there for us. So it's different from just being alone. It's much more related to a deeper sense of disconnection from the society and others. It has two dimensions, the emotional and social loneliness. Emotional loneliness comes from lacking close bonds with friends, with close friends, and so. But the social loneliness is much more related to feeling disconnected from larger communities, social network, and these kinds of large networks. But they're distinct, but both forms usually impact us. It is often the second big social isolation, which is a more objective lack of social engagement, while this is a social isolation is a more objective social engagement. The loneliness is a subjective one, and when someone is surrounded by people, he or she, anyone can feel that they're lonely. So why do you think we experience loneliness and how it affects our health? It's interesting because loneliness can be understood as an evolutionary signal motivating us to seek the need for our basic need, like something like a thirst or hunger that shows us that something urgent needs to be done. It acts like that, but how it affects our health. When loneliness becomes chronic, it's like a stressor for the body. So it comes with many health problems and concerns. It can cause heart diseases, premature death, it causes stroke, and many things you cannot believe, but weakens the immune system. And for the mental health, of course, it causes depression and fascinating, but not that much because it fosters biological aging by stress. It can affect many people all around the world with any background, but there are some risk factors, for example, low self-esteem, introverted personality traits, and those kinds of things. Maybe you're interested into how loneliness is related to employees and workplaces. We are adults who spend a huge amount of our waking time at work, so it's a key environment for us to reduce or increase our feelings of loneliness. Some employment features are there, some like long working hours, repetitive environments, And lack of social support, they can lead to loneliness. And remote work is a kind of special work arrangement that can change the work environment a lot. But however, workplaces may also offer opportunities for social fulfillment and positive relationships with some colleagues. We're going to address loneliness in both of our personal lives and then in our workplaces to avoid its negative effects. Loneliness is a prevalent issue all around the world. It's a significant issue that, for example, in Canada, around 10% of people have reported being lonely often. And in some areas like Eastern Europe, it is even higher. Or, as I just said, it is all around the world with any background. All in all, it is maybe, experiencing a loneliness has been reported to be around 5 to 30% of the people that had experienced loneliness. Maybe it only was, in life, then that's huge. That's very much. Some parts of the world also has loneliness, but maybe lower or higher. My main research question and my objective is what is the unique contribution of coworker time and network diversity for reducing loneliness? This question, is really important because there's several gaps in the literature that says, many researches have been done in understanding the specific role of workplace social interactions in loneliness, but they have not found the importance of the employment in reducing loneliness when considering the impacts of the broader social factors. So they have not isolated and evaluated the unique contribution of the interactions with coworkers and colleagues, among others like families and friends. And this is a gap. This is a clear gap that must be addressed. And there were some tensions between work and life for many people, so it is really important and valuable to find out where is the time spent with coworkers placed here. And it is crucial to find, what are the interventions that we can do to best aid in reducing loneliness and enhance the social workforce. These are some research questions that we can investigate and go deep into to find out more about our place relationships. The first one is about the relationship between the amount of time spent with coworkers and levels of social and emotional loneliness. We're going to find out, is it a unique factor among all of others and controlling for others' social ties? Is it unique? Can I spend coworkers or not? What is the coworkers and employees' preferences in that? Is it going to affect the loneliness of the employees too? And how is it going to affect? What is the effects of the overall social time? It's important to know what is the effect of the overall social time someone has under loneliness, emotional and social, both dimensions. And one of the most important things is the diversity of social network. There is a diversity of social network for everyone. You want to know if the diversity is going to influence and matter here. Which type of social interaction and social connection is going to most significantly reduce emotional and social loneliness? I guess this is so important. We want to know which one is the most important one. But we wanted to know deeply and investigate deeply about the relationship between coworkers. So we did some focus group interviews there with the employees about their relationship with their coworkers. So the questions here are how employees interact with their coworkers, what kinds of relationships do they have, and what aspects of workplace relationship make them feel included, and vice versa, what aspects make them feel isolated and alone. Take quarters of effects of supervisors in employers, and we want to know how do employers and organizational policies are going to influence. We also wanted to know the ideal workplace relationship from their perspectives. How do they define ideal workplace relationships, and what is the barrier here to reach to them and achieve those ideals? And finally, wanted to find out about any relationship that might be between work schedules, requirements for any in-person or virtual work anyone has on their relationship with their coworkers. Uh, for this study, we chose a mixed method approach. So it has the quantitative portion, and also I just mentioned that it has qualitative interviews. For the quantitative part, we recruited participants through the Canadian Social Connections Study, CSCS, the one that Dr. Kiefer Card also mentioned and described. It's a cross-sectional survey with a longitudinal subcohort for exploring social health in Canadian population. The survey is conducted annually, so we have the data and recruited participants aged 16 and older across Canada. We collected questions by a number of questions to measure our variables here, like connection times. That is the matter we're going to investigate. And some demographic data here are also important, like age, gender, ethnicity, their household income, and their working hours per week. And all the quantitative data was analyzed by our studio to describe the AP relationships. For the qualitative data, we participate with a subset of CS participants were there who agreed to be contacted for follow-ups, and we just added some recruitments also by social media on LinkedIn, on Twitter, because we wanted to target also the professionals here. And there are some commonality between quantitative and qualitative study. For example, the inclusion and exclusion criteria are the same. They should have been 16 and older people across Canada who are influencers. And the outcome variables also the same almost through all of this study, which is the loneliness scale measured by Eugene Kirpel loneliness scale. It comes with 11 items, and each subscales emotional and social. Okay. Here it comes with our results. Sorry, here. Describing a little bit about the analysis here, we control the effects of the control variables, as I just told you, which have done some linear regression models for each research question and for each dimension of the loneliness to be accurate here. And the significance level was 0.05 with 95% of confidence interval. And for the bonus part, we did the thematic analysis, and that is, I read the transcript and reread them to understand the key themes that participants mentioned and that was important to them. And I prepared the comprehensive report of that and with analysis into and people. Okay. Coming to the results of this study, we just found that some demographic characteristics are also so important, like lower household income comes with lower household income comes with much more emotional and social loneliness, and lower age is also important here because it's with lower age we see more emotional loneliness here. For the connection time, which was our measurable variable here, we found that a lower social time with coworkers was associated with more social loneliness. For example, the lower preference here was a matter of, or the overall social time, diversity, and proportions of social time in comparison to each other. Each of them were so significant and meaningful that I'm going to describe it to you. Finally, what we found, what does it mean? What does all these things and codes and numbers. As I mentioned, I just evaluated the individual impacts of demographic characteristics. And after all of those characteristics that are important for our loneliness, about the connection time, we found that employees with lower social time with coworkers were more socially lonely, but not emotional. And also employees who prefer to spend some time with their coworkers are less socially lonely here. Of course, overall social time matters a lot. It means that if overall social time is more for any employee or any individual, they have much less loneliness here. And among all of the social times with coworkers, we found that lower proportion of social time with coworkers is associated with more social loneliness. Finally, what did we find about the most effective social time in reducing loneliness, in reducing emotional loneliness specifically? Okay, this is more social time with our friends. We found some key things and main things when employees talk to us about their concerns with their relationships with their coworkers. Firstly, they mentioned the importance of workplace environment as a key factor. Participants mentioned that they need open communication and psychological safety. They need the friendliness of the workplace, and they need to have some basic interactions at least. Some basic social interaction is also so enough for some of them. Importance of supervisor influence on social connection is something really crucial because when supervisors were distant or only focused on tasks, it step up the social culture of the workplace. Employees want some leadership to engage even minimally to encourage community and make them feel valued. The basic humanity and mutual respect. It says that many participants mentioned basic kindness. It may be so surprising, but they mentioned that some simple gestures, like even wishing your colleague well on their birthday, is something really important for them. And this is a repetitive answer. Secondly, they emphasize how workplace can make them feel included or lonely. They mentioned the supportive and inclusive atmosphere here. The employees value workplaces where achievements were recognized. For example, some personal events are celebrated there. The power dynamic and favoritism is really important here. Some power dynamics are there in some workplaces and favoritism that discourage employees from forming close ties in their supervisors or their colleagues. And impact of isolation and physical separation. Physical isolation, especially for those working alone or remotely, was a significant factor mentioned by many employees. Thirdly, what are the employees' ideal workplace relationships? Okay, that's so interesting. Employees' desire for structured social opportunities here. They say, okay, we want some daily and weekly stand-up meetings out there. We want something like pottery classes, exercise classes that we can do with our colleagues together. Virtual social gathering, you shouldn't underestimate that. Something like gaming for remote workers, it can encourage them a lot. And workplace relationship, they mentioned healthy boundaries, They mentioned keeping it professional. So professional boundaries in work really matters, especially around something personal activities about there. Trust and respect, you shouldn't underestimate that. Trust and respect is a repetitive answer to many questions. They say that having a fundamental mutual respect for each other in professional relationship, it's really critical. No one exists there that does not want respect, Respect is something that everyone desires for. And they desire also for genuine connections. They want some meaningful relationships there. it might not be the friendship, but casual conversations about some personal interests. And also the effect of employers, as I just mentioned, there might be some policies that they can undo for balancing of the time of their co-work of their employees or between remote and in-person work they do. I also mentioned the effect of power dynamics. Hierarchies are also effectful and they're impactful for the persons. They like feeling of sharing ideas. They don't want to be influenced by hierarchy out there. And organizational structure and revolving door. Some temporary roles does not let them to make close bonds out there. There's some employers, some workplaces are some like they do not have time. They have to go. They come and go, and the turnover doesn't let them to have relationships and connections. And the coaching culture is also something really important in some workplaces. They desire for the opportunities to learn and receive mentorship. Mentorship really matters, especially in some workplaces. Some issues related to the type of workplaces like physical and remote work and the schedules. Something like time zone differences between employees and coworkers doesn't let them to connect. The project timelines affect their interactions. They get stressed and anxious sometimes because they work remotely. They do not know their expectations, the performance expectations out there. And even in the physical workplaces, some strict project timelines are there. So these are the main things that they just, talked about and discussed with each other. So while we just mentioned the effects of the coworker time on the social health, but as I just said, it wasn't effective for emotional time, emotional loneliness, and the preferences for the employees for connection with the matters for their loneliness is they prefer to connect. It is going to reduce their loneliness. And the participants also emphasize the importance of workplace culture, interaction quality, small gestures, shift times, physical separation, and so. Finally, they desire for supportive atmosphere, right, where employees feel safe and respected. In conclusion, I should say workplace connections reduce social loneliness. It can be supported, for people. However, deeper emotional support often comes from outside of the work. A diverse social network and an inclusive and supportive work culture are essential in addressing loneliness, suggesting organizations need to balance structured team building with an environment of respect and recognition for the employees to foster these Guinean social connections they want. Thank you all for your time listening to me. I hope for a more connected, supportive, and inclusive workplace in Canada and a more socially healthy world for everyone. And I just want you to think a little about your workplaces and what you can do for your workplace, for your employees and colleagues.
Answer the question, but how do we get to a trusting and respectful workplace?
Yeah, they just want support from each other. When some of them, some of the employees mentioned that I cannot trust this person or the colleague because I have bad experience. They should be open to each other, be helpful. At least they can, even a smile can help. When you cannot do for something or you don't have time for that, you should show your support, even emotionally. Something like a small also works. So this is a kind of respect for each other. You shouldn't disregard them. You should know that you have some colleagues. Maybe sometimes you need help from them. So yeah, even when you don't have like a smile, I think can help. They just follow us. Yeah.